Good afternoon. This is Mike, and this is 740 Main Street, East Hartford. I am the mayor of the town of East Hartford, as many of you know. And today we've got 10 questions we'll be responding to from last week. And this is under the program where you ask the mayor questions last week, and then this week we provide them with the answers. Now, we did have 15 questions, but 5 of those questions, some of the residents who asked the questions either didn't want us to answer them online, or we've provided them information on the side. So when you hear me talk about a particular number of a question, there will be gaps in the questions, and it's because those 5 people didn't want us to answer them online. I'm going to move rather briskly because this is a new record, and we're also going to announce the winner of the 100th question, and they won lunch with the mayor. I don't know if that's actually a good thing or a penalty for that poor person, but in any case, I'm going to make good on my offer, and we're going to have a lunch at Roma's sometime when we can coordinate it based on the resident schedule. So first off, this is a question from a prior week, and it's Brian. And one of his questions, it was a multi-part question, was can we put up signs on School Street so that the trucks don't use their braking system, something called the Jake brake, which is fairly loud. And I had asked Brian for some additional information, and he's provided that to me in the form of a YouTube video. So now I know what Brian's talking about, and I'm gonna work with Public Works, and possibly, Brian, we're gonna put some of those signs up on School Street. I'm not sure we're going to get the desired result, but for a couple of signs, it does not seem like a real problem. So thank you for Brian for following up by providing me with additional information in the form of a YouTube video on Jake brakes. And in the event that we can put some signs up on School Street to ameliorate that problem, that's a good thing. So that's question 1 from the prior week. Jumping all the way to question number 95. This one comes from William. And he says, can we please get an electronic marquee type sign for Silver Lane informing us of upcoming events at Rentschler Field? Maybe the state of Connecticut could cover the cost. So William, I'm 100% in agreement with you that that's what we need, but I'm also here to tell you that that's not what we're gonna get. Our town council had asked me that a month or so ago, and I reached out to both the Office of Policy and Management, who owns the stadium, or at least the land that the stadium is on, and there's not a lot of interest. They are interested in following DOT rules. There are certain rules for restaurant signs, there are certain rules for traffic signs, but there's not a lot of interest from OPM, the Office of Policy and Management, to put marquee type displays on that particular piece of property. I then felt, based on the town council's suggestion, that I could reach out to Raytheon, and I reached out to their government relations person, and there's also not a desire to put a marquee type sign on their property. So again, the 2 owners of the property, Office of Policy and Management, State of Connecticut, and Raytheon, are both dissuading me from asking for a sign to promote the Rentschler Field activities. So what we've agreed to do is, from the mayor's office on our website, we will periodically produce an update of what is coming to Rentschler Field. So that's about as good as I can do, William. Again, I share your sentiment, but I do not have willing partners who are willing to accept marquee signs on their property. So a little bit of a long answer to a fairly short question, but we thank William for the question. Question number 96 comes from Anna, and it's a 2-part question. Can you share more about your hopes for Silver Lane? How do we support more small businesses and restaurants to come to that part of East Hartford? Now, this past Wednesday, our redevelopment agency accepted, after 2 public hearings, a report on the Silver Lane corridor from Goldman and York. And in a vote of 3-0, they are forwarding a report that finds 6 things wrong with Silver Lane. And it's basically, lack of foot traffic, lack of attracting tangible investment, dilapidated buildings, and as I said, 6 different things. You can go online to the development department, you can find the report, you can read it yourself. But in the form of a resolution, they're passing to the town council, and on August 2nd, I'm led to believe the town council will receive and act on that report, which will agree with the redevelopment agency. And in particular, there's a list of properties that the town should attempt to secure either through negotiation, or in the event it's required, eminent domain. And this is what the resolution says in verbatim, to acquire those to bring basically commerce back to Silver Lane. So August 2nd, Anna, that's what the town council will be voting on. A separate process, if we're unable to secure that through negotiation, will occur. That starts up again with the redevelopment agency. There's probably a public hearing involved, then goes to the town council. There may be a waiting period or public comment involved. But at the end of the day, we are actively negotiating Silver Lane Plaza, which is the start of bringing those things, retail and restaurants, back to Silver Lane. The other thing is, I would say, be patient with us. Concourse Park, which is what was the Jasco apartment complex, it's been renamed, 439 market rate luxury rich apartments. That goes to inland wetlands on July 26th. That's by the time this airs, it will have been the day before, and then it goes to planning and zoning for final approval on August 10th. So we are very close to some important development on the Showcase Cinema site, and very close, as in the next 2 to 3 months, from either consummating a negotiation or using all the tools available in the town's toolbox to make Silver Lane a better place to work, play, and live. So that is answer number 1 to your question. Answer number 2, also from Anna: East Hartford has been a wonderful place for past generations of families to live. How can we support younger families in seeing East Hartford as a place to obtain a starter home and grow families? So as we speak, the town of East Hartford is submitting a CIF application. CIF stands for Community Investment Funds. One of the things we're submitting, and that is a $175 million per year pool of state bonding available to the town of East Hartford and 48 other distressed communities who have had, unfortunately, diversity, equity, and inclusion as a low priority. So it's a realization by the state of Connecticut that we have to make some strides in that particular arena. So East Hartford is putting together a housing proposal whereby we will couple the town's housing with a program already run by the state in order to jumpstart home ownership here in East Hartford. In essence, as houses come up on the market that are rented, not owner occupied, we will look to secure those at, again, either market or below market rate. We'll fix them up, and then we'll turn them over to, again, not to be rental property, but to be owner occupied. We think that way is a much more appropriate way to go about neighborhood by neighborhood restabilizing those. So the proposal goes out to the CIF fund. It is state bonding money. We would have to be awarded, but if we are awarded it, and we're fairly certain that either this round or in an upcoming round, because we apply twice a year, we'll be able to secure money to properly start a revolving home ownership program that will also see East Hartford give deep discounts in terms of interest rate and down payment deposits for those who are willing to establish themselves in East Hartford and ultimately stabilize the neighborhoods. So your point, Anna, is well taken. We have a plan, we have a program, we're executing it. Now I simply ask for patience. The other thing that you may have seen via social media in terms of what are we doing to support young families is we're providing a path from high school, our juniors and seniors, directly into police and fire programs. And that too is a generational way to stabilize our community. Because if we can get our residents who have children, and those children become our future police officers and future firefighters, they will have good paying jobs, they will have excellent both pension benefits and medical benefits. That increases life expectancy, that increases the stabilization of the community, it gives them disposable income, and if we can attract them through home ownership to stay here, East Hartford becomes a better place to live, work, and play. So it doesn't happen overnight, but you can see we've got a number of programs that go hand in glove. That's one I'm particularly proud of, and one that will do good things for the community. My challenge to the police chief and to the fire chief is this program needs to occur in such a way so that in 25 years, I can come out of retirement and swear in the next police chief or fire chief who got their origins into our police or fire service through this East Hartford Works program. It's that important to change the trajectory today so that in 20 to 25 years, we start to see the fruits of our labors. Question number 99 comes from Fred. And Fred, you and I talked about this on the campaign trail, and then we talked about it a couple of months ago. I'm happy you followed up. You may not have seen my reply, but the answer is, what is the status of taxing registered firearms? And Fred believed that locally we could make a dent in all these school shootings and all of these suicides by gun if somehow we registered and taxed firearms. So our town council chairman, Rich Kehoe, is an attorney, used to be out of the Attorney General's office. He currently works for Senator Blumenthal's office. And what I was told by Chairman Kehoe is that this is uniquely a federal issue. We do not have the ability locally to either register them, account for them, inventory them, or tax them. So Fred, that's the answer. It's a space that unfortunately local government cannot enter. And I wanted to provide you with that information via this broadcast. Question number 100, in the winner of the Lunch with the Mayor, and as I said, I'm not sure if we can count you as a winner or a loser because you have to have lunch with me, but it is Suzanne. And Kate from my office will be reaching out to you with the email address to try to set something up at Roma's for you in the next few weeks. But the question is there anything you can do about parking on High Street when Hockenham School resumes? She's had the police out there multiple times. The parents park in her driveway, block the driveway. It's caused things like garbage being skipped, mail being skipped, missed doctor's appointments. And when she's asked the parents to move, she has sometimes get screamed at. And Suzanne, I can share that experience firsthand. Our parents are passionate. I attempted to move some folks out of the way at Goodwin School and got some of the same results. I too was passionate about the issue, so it's one of the things that we need to be respectful of both sides. Parents who are trying to innocently get their kids into the schools, but also to keep our throughways clear so that we can safely pass them. It's quite candidly a problem I don't have an easy solution to. These are neighborhood schools and they're not built for the amount of traffic that we put in front of them. There are quite a number of children that are still not on the bus as they should be. Their parents are instead dropping them off. So my appeal would be for calm, for patience. We've pushed information out via the PTOs, PTAs, via the newsletters. It will resume late August and into September as we start school again. I would encourage everybody who can take the bus to take the bus. We are more adept at getting your children onto the campus safely. But to Suzanne, I would say we have already alerted the police. There will be extra patrols. And finally, we have created a Taming East Hartford's Traffic. It's a committee that is meeting on August 16th. And we will meet, I believe that's the third Tuesday of every month moving forward. We're currently dealing with a problem on Brewer in Forbes. The traffic light was taken out by a car who went airborne and almost hurt a lot of people, taking out a light pole. That sent a electrical shock through the system, which blew out the light. And currently, as we wait for parts, but more importantly, an upgraded light is about $200,000 when you talk about the labor, the new light poles that need to be hung in terms of the aluminum ones, the removal of the old poles, and then simply the electronic box that has to be installed. It is not a cheap endeavor to install a signal. So on Brewer in Forbes, we are looking at basically taking the north and southbound route on Forbes, shrinking it down to one lane so that it's a true four-way stop sign. And the important thing about this is we've had a number of high-speed accidents out there with the signal light. People who are who are going north and south on Forbes ultimately cut out when somebody is taking a left turn. They cut out of their lane to make a pass, ultimately T-boning the cars, either turning left onto Brewer or left onto, well, either way, north or south, they're turning left onto Brewer one way or the other. So by turning that into a four-way, at least to study through September 30th, and that includes when traffic continues to go back to the high school, we'll have a good idea if it's a safer intersection. You will see some bollards, which are 3-inch, either yellow or high visibility orange. Those will be fastened into the center of the roadway about 30 to 40 feet north and south from Brewer. That will direct the traffic, separate the traffic, and we believe make it a safer place. But again, we'll be studying it till September 30th, and they'll come up with a final decision. I have some neighbors out there led by Don Sansome that are in regular contact with me, and if anybody wants to call me for a meeting, happy to show you the plans, happy to explain it in more detail. But Suzanne, in terms of what we can do at Hockenham, the police are already aware of it, and we simply cross our fingers as we wait for the parents to continue to bring their kids back to school starting late next month or early September. The next question is from Beth. And Beth, I have to say, when you sat down at your typewriter, you had to be angry. And I hope you're not angry at me. I didn't take it that way. But here's what it sounded like to me, Beth, and I'm reading your question verbatim. How does a town the size of East Hartford not have a grocery store? And apparently that's okay. Okay is capitalized. So Beth, here's a pen. You may want to get a pen and pencil out and write these down. We have ShopRite on Main Street. That's in East Hartford. That's a pretty big chain grocery store. We have ShopRite on Spencer Street. Now I know my geography is off, and that is in Manchester, but it's literally a quarter mile over the border, and we count that as an East Hartford grocery store. We also do bus trips from many of the locations in East Hartford free, and we go to Stop and Shop in Glastonbury, we go to ShopRite on Spencer Street, even though it's in Manchester. But continuing on, we have Aldi's on Silver Lane. That's a very large chain grocery store. We have Seatown on Main Street, which is a mid-sized grocery store, and it's expanding, just recently knocking down the house next to it for an additional expansion. We have Key Foods, a lovely new food store here on Main Street, and we have G Foods, which is mostly an Asian grocery on Silver Lane. So that's 6 grocery stores, Beth. So we do have them. Now I know what you're saying, because this is what other people tell me. I don't like those grocery stores. Well, because you don't like them, it's not that you don't count them, it's you're looking for a different type of store. I am looking at it, trying to bring in another store, but candidly, it's hard for them to relocate here simply because the amount of volume. I'll give you an idea. Stop and Shop left here because their rent was raised and they were earning 24 to 26 million a year. Well, the Glastonbury Stop and Shop stores are earning 70 million. So it was simply a financial decision for Stop and Shop. It had nothing really to do with the town of East Hartford. So I'm not sure why the residents think the town somehow is in communication with grocery stores. We want all retail, but in fact, it's determined by the residents in their shopping patterns. So those were 6 examples of stores that we have here in East Hartford, Beth. I'd suggest gently that you try some of them. My wife and I regularly go to ShopRite. Sometimes we go to Stop and Shop in Glastonbury. Aldi's is a big place, and I find Seatown and Key Foods wonderful for specific foods. So try them out. You may like them. The second one, Beth, is why are we tearing up the roads for fiber optic? Will they be repaved? Because our roads were bad enough to begin with and even worse now. So Beth, let me separate a couple of the issues. We have 151 miles of roads. This year we're doing twice as many roads as ever. It's a balancing act between repaving roads and keeping taxes in check. Our taxes are 109 of 168 communities. So while people think they're bad, comparatively, and again, this isn't a license to spend, this is simply a statistical mark in time as to how we benchmark. We are community rich in services and low in value, meaning the value of our houses comparatively is low. So we need a higher mill rate. That doesn't mean you're paying more in taxes. That simply means we need a higher mill rate to balance the budget. So going back to your supposition that our roads are bad enough, we're working on it. We know that in a lot of areas they're not great. We're going to do some temporary patches to get you through. But as I said, it's a balancing act. We are not tearing the roads up for fiber optic. We are actually putting a 9-inch trench in about half the places we're putting in fiber optic. The other half goes in the tree belt, where we will be using a ditch witch and putting in the conduit. In each of those cases, we will accept a 1-inch patch that seals that. And fiber optic is the wave of the future, so we have to have it, and the best way to build that is by putting it in the ground so that it is a not only redundant, but a network that is basically resilient. Finally, will they be repaved? It is not going to be the responsibility if our fiber company goes into the road. We will make them repave or fix that 1-inch slit that they put in our road. But a curb to curb overlay is the responsibility of the town based on the condition of the roads. So hopefully that answered the question on fiber optics, that answered the question on repaving, and it answered the question on the conditions of the roads. But Beth, feel free if you have any more questions to reach out to my office. I'll be happy to respond. The next question, number 102, comes from Judith Clark. Judith, and apologies to reading that last name, but 2 questions came in, and I think they're excellent ones, so let me read them. What safety protocols are in place for East Hartford school system? What training is provided to the leaders in our school systems? Does every classroom in every school have doors that lock from the inside? Once class begins, are all doors kept shut and locked in each of our school buildings? Do all of our schools have police officers on site or school resource officers? If yes, are they armed? She wants to be informed on what East Hartford is doing to keep our students, teachers, and school support staff safe. So I reached out to Ben Whitaker. Ben is the Chief Operating Officer of our school system, and he provided comprehensive answers, which I will now read back to Judith. So on the first one, what are the safety protocols and training? And here's Ben's answer. East Hartford Public Schools have a robust school safety and security plan in place at each school that was developed based on requirements from the Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. That's DEMIS for short. Those plans are in conjunction with the East Hartford Police Department and the East Hartford Fire Department. The plan is implemented by safety and security committees and teams at each school and is supported by a dedicated safety and preparedness manager employed by the school district. Drills covering a variety of plausible situations are conducted throughout the school year. These drills are intended to train faculty and students to be adequately prepared and properly responded to a variety of possible emergency situations. Drills are performed in partnership with the police and the fire department and recorded for the state annually. Each drill undergoes an after-action review to outline areas for improvement. East Hartford Public Schools also has participated in tabletop situational drills with public safety partners to share ideas, communicate and comprehend roles, responsibilities and expectations, and endeavor to improve upon a school's safety plan. And Judith, editorially, I will tell you that we had, unfortunately, a tragedy over in Manchester at Hartford Distributing a number of years ago. East Hartford Police were the first on the scene. They are extremely well trained, and while I am the town's biggest cheerleader, I will also tell you that the East Hartford Police Department and Fire Department are some of the best in the nation, and I personally believe the best in the state. That's not to say that we can't prepare for everything, but I am very confident that in the event of a terrible situation, our both police and fire have responded and will respond to the situation. Now the goal is, how do we stop such a thing? Your second question, does every classroom have doors that lock from the inside? And Ben's answer is, based on earlier open concept floor plans and architectural designs, not every classroom has a door, and not all that do are able to be locked from the inside. Several schools have doors with exterior locks that require a key to lock them. It is strongly encouraged that those classroom doors remain in the locked position during school hours. Doing so allows someone to simply push the door closed from the inside to help secure a room. Classroom door locks are checked during applicable training drills to emphasize this practice. Next question, once classes begin, all doors are kept shut and locked in each of the school buildings? And that's a question. Ben replies, where applicable, this is left to the discretion of the principals and teachers of each school. This is why it is recommended that schools with doors outside of their classrooms be kept in the locked position. So how I read that, Judith, is the answer is Based on the condition of each classroom, we try to keep it as secure as we can given the configuration of the classroom based on the open floor plan. Next question, do all of our schools have a police officer on site as a school resource officer? And Ben writes, East Hartford Middle School and East Hartford High School both have school resource officers and a team of campus security officers assigned to them. Additionally, the school resource officers may also respond to other schools in the district to assist when needed. And I've been around a long time. There are a number of parents who want the police officers at every campus, and there are a number of parents who do not want the police at every campus. But we do have them at the high school and the middle school. They can rove and they can ultimately respond to any school if needed. We also have a police force of 120 officers that routinely patrol and regularly respond to the schools to make sure they're available. So I have no doubt that based on what we have, the resources in place and what we have available in the community, that there would be a timely, very timely response in the event the schools needed them. And then the last question, if yes, are these police officers armed? And the answer is yes, they are armed. They are certified sworn police officers, and they are employed by the East Hartford Police Department. The next question is submission 106, and it is Sherry. And Sherry asks us, do you plan to buy the church corners in? And the answer is, it depends. The town council is currently exploring it. I do believe when all is said and done, they will determine that in order to stabilize Main Street and to really retrofit that particular building, which is very, very old, very, very grandfathered, and very, very much in need of an upgrade, they will see their way clear to give this administration the permission to buy that. But I do not know. That is a discussion that will happen on August 2nd. Second question, can I get a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, or something on Main Street? And the answer is, I'm open to all of it. When our per capita income rises, those retail and restaurant establishments will come naturally. So in terms of central Main Street, we have fast food more toward the southern section of town. So I'm welcoming it. We do have a Popeyes that's coming to Main Street, somewhat in the south section of town, but your point is well taken. We're not well served in all portions of town, and as we get development moving, I think you'll start to see some more restaurants come into the area. I will tell you, if you go on the town's development website though, there is a list of restaurants, and it's got to be at least 40. I dedicated one of these tapings a couple of months ago to the number of restaurants we have in town. So they're all delicious. Try some of them. Some are within walking distance of you on Central Main Street. Others are not, but I certainly would welcome you to try some of our East Hartford restaurants. And then finally, can there be more activities in town and on Main Street, more stuff at the farmers market? And again, I'd encourage you to visit the town's website. The Parks and Recreation and the Senior Services websites have a plethora of things, from bingo to setback to activities at the town green, from swimming lessons, from yoga, ping pong, pickleball. It's a whole bit, and you just simply need to know from the website where these activities are. I do believe East Hartford programs a host of activities. It's simply getting the word out. And if you give your information to Kate in my office by emailing it, we'll add you to the Pulse newsletter. The Pulse carries automatic links to both those websites so you can see the activities on their calendar. And finally, if English is not your native language, you can translate that website or that both the website and the Pulse newsletter into 100 different languages. Once we get that out to enough residents, critical mass, I think we'll have a lot better information out in the community. And we're on the home stretch. Question number 107, which is the last of 10. This is from Dina. I was wondering if the toddler gym program will be returning through Parks and Rec. She's always looking for fun programs to do with her preschooler and was hoping to see more offered by the town. Now, I talked to Sean Dwyer, who's our Assistant Parks and Recreation Director, and I said, Sean, what are we doing with this program? So the answer he shouts out to Dina is yes. We are planning on bringing that program back this fall. They'll start to plan their fall-winter programs in a few weeks as summer winds down. So on behalf of the town of East Hartford, hopefully you're staying cool during this most recent heat wave. We've reopened the pools for longer hours. There's 5 outdoor pools. Check them out. And on behalf of the town, stay cool. Thanks for listening. Looking forward to your questions. This is Mayor Mike, and this was Ask the Mayor.